Welcome to 2024. This is Dr. D from ABA with Dr. D. I'm so excited to have you all join today. This is going to be our first video of the year. And we have been covering diversity in the previous videos. Today I'm going to dive in a little bit more about this topic of diversity in ABA with my own personal experience. I know I talked a little bit about my background, but I want to truly dive in a bit more so that you can understand a bit more as to why the motivation to want to speak more about this and learn more about diversity. Okay, so first of all, my name is Jose Davila, and I was born and raised in Los Angeles, California, specifically in West LA. Both of my parents are from Guatemala, which is a beautiful country located in Central America. My parents immigrated to the United States in the 80s. My first language, is or was Spanish. I speak very fluently in Spanish. And when I went to my elementary and middle school, I went specifically to Koreatown and a small Catholic school in Koreatown. And my friends and classmates were like me. They were first generation US born from families who immigrated from Mexico, Central and South America, and also Asia. Aside from cultural side, I love soccer. So I learned, a lot from, about soccer. I follow players, like Ronaldo, Zidane, Beckham, Maradona, players that come from a variety of backgrounds, right? So I'm a huge, once again, soccer fanatic, and that helped me have friends and teammates that came from these different parts of the world. Okay, so that really did help me. Okay, I even got to a point where I even started learning, some different languages because I was so obsessed with the game of soccer or football, right? If you're in another part of the world. My career in behavior analysis, to be honest with you, I had no clue what behavior analysis was when I started. I started working as a behavior therapist in the San Fernando Valley, which is located around 30 to 45 minutes away from downtown LA. I came in with zero experience. I was like, what is this? I just need a job. And I work primarily with Latinx or Hispanic families in the area of San Fernando Valley. Most of the times I had to provide services in Spanish, which was very... it wasn't easy at that time because there was very minimal content available. I don't think we had YouTube was barely starting, so we didn't have much access to a variety of videos or anything like that I can use. So what I would have to do is literally translate the stuff that I was learning in English. I had to translate in Spanish. So that right there was quite an interesting process. I think it helped me a lot to also be able to communicate, right? And use specific words that people can understand. What I was trying to communicate to them in regards to the field of behavior analysis. During the process, I had to create, once again, my own Spanish behavior analytic materials because of that time. Once again, mid to late 2000, we had no access to behavior analytic materials in Spanish. I would literally translate the terms to help the families. And most of the children I worked with were first generation US born like me. That really helped me relate to and understand, right, the kind of difficulties and struggles they may be experiencing. And I was also able to understand parents because once again I came from the same community, same backgrounds, and it was very very cool. It was really humbling experience to go through that and being able to help these families. My education ABA, I got my master's and PhD in applied behavior analysis, and I was the first person in my family to attain a college degree. My professors were all great, but there was very limited diversity when I was going through my education. Nonetheless, they were all phenomenal mentors and supportive, and they really did help me fall in love with the field of behavior analysis. Most of my colleagues were from diverse background, which is really interesting because I went to school in Southern California, so there was so much diversity here, and that was pretty awesome. Even to this day, I still have communication with a lot of my colleagues that I went to school with, and I think that's very important, right? If you're a practitioner, you're someone that's going to grow in the field of behavior analysis, you do need to have people that you can connect with and that you're able to grow in the field as well. Some struggles that I observe with families I work with is that there were families that did not speak English. More parents also had to work long hours. Some parents had two jobs. The families had financial struggles. Also, the families living in very small spaces due to financial hardship. So sometimes, they'll be renting or sharing space with multiple families or people. Also, we had some situations where parents were being afraid of being deported back to their countries. And some parents even shared with me that they were a little reluctant to starting the ABA services or applied behavior analytics services because of this particular fear that they were going to get deported to their country. So they, a lot of these families would push back or kind of hold back. Literally, it was until their child really, really needed the services. It was at the point where, you know, we would come in and help them out. But once again, this is something that does happen. There are some families that still have these beliefs that, you know, that if they are taking these services, they're going to be in the system, which increases likelihood of being, once again, deported back to their countries. And I definitely, when I will speak to them, I'll say that's not the case. You know, we're here to help you out. This is a whole different line of service. We're here specifically for your child. Also, parents needing help with navigating the school system. Parents were not really fully aware of what their services their child could attain. So, you know, most of the time the children were not being provided with the proper services, and families felt intimidated by school officials, you know, and they were less likely to request more support for the child. And that goes a little bit more about the diversity side, because when I would go to these meetings with parents, the individuals that will be leading these meetings were not from a diverse background. So even the demeanor, the way in which the parents were spoken to definitely was a bit intimidating. So I can kind of see where these parents would have a little bit more hesitancy to seek more services. So that's another area, once again, that there more than likely is a need for more diversity because of the significant amount of needs that, you know, these families have. Also having multiple children with autism or other related disabilities. So a lot of different, you know, situations or things that you might have observed. And how did I help the family? So when I was working specifically with non-English speaking families, I would help them translate reports they would get from school or their specialists. I would attend IEP meetings with the families. I would recommend advocates or other support groups that were located nearby. I would also buy them toys or stimuli, you know, specifically for my behavior technicians that they could use during sessions, because I knew that they had their financial, you know, limitations. And also provided consistent parent training sessions that included their other children as well, since they had a couple children that were diagnosed. So I would try to, you know, get everybody together. I try to seek alternative locations for sessions, so like the park, the library, or community center, specifically for, you know, for situations where families were living with other families and there was very limited space. Very open communication with parents, you know, once again, coming from the Spanish, you know, Latino community. It's very important to be able to have open communication with these parents and let them know that you're there. You're very sincerely there for their child. Above all, respectful and professional. You know, like I said, people may have their own beliefs, you know, their own pushback. You know, some people have, from the background specifically in the Latino community, there's some people that have the belief that, you know, autism is caused by some type of spiritual or brujeria, like they say, something that's not you know, once again, scientific. I would hear out these particular types of information, once again, something within the aspect of witchcraft or things like that, and I just kind of respectfully hear them out, and above all, once again, just try to maintain the conversation within the line of what the therapy was. So those were, once again, some of the things that I did to try to help families. And, you know, I think I have a couple suggestions for you if you're working, once again, in this field of behavior analysis and you're serving some of these families that come from diverse backgrounds, or across the board, right? All families deserve this. So being polite and pleasant, I think that's very important. So smiling, saying hello, saying how are you? All these kinds of things are really essential as a practitioner to be, once again, having more success. Do not overdo it. Behavior analytic lingo. That's always a must. I did have a tendency that when I was going to grad school, I try to utilize too much behavior analytic lingo. So I probably didn't notice it at the time, but I'm pretty sure that families were like, what is this guy talking about? So it's very important to be aware that you can't overdo it with your behavior analytic lingo. You need to make sure you know what audience you're speaking to. I also provide a lot of compliments to parents, literally for participating, for being involved, for listening to you, all these different things. Make sure you're complimenting parents. Being a good listener, right? So making sure you're aware that you're there. You sit down. You're literally taking notes. You're demonstrating that you're actually fully committed. You're involved with the process of wanting to understand what the needs for these particular families, what they are. And work directly with the child and show parents what you're talking about. That is something that I highly recommend for supervisors. Because if you're a supervisor and you expect just to come in and sit down and just take notes and just provide feedback, and you're not going in there and actually demonstrating, modeling what you would like other people to demonstrate, including the parents, then that's going to make it very difficult to get buy-in. So be very, very much about, walking the talk, in other words. Be patient and understanding. Like I said, every parent, every family is going to have their own, acquisition rate. So make sure you're able to, just kind of like definitely, don't get, impatient with the process. Try to follow, like I say, your game plan, but also know that there's sometimes the game plan may need to be revised because every family is different. Okay, so be very, very sensitive to that. Read and learn about the client's family culture and educate yourself. Okay, so I did not just work with Latino or Hispanic families. I work with a variety of families from Korea, from the Middle East, Eastern families, a variety of families, that I work with. And what I try to do the best I could, like I said, I'm not going to say I'm going to become an expert in the culture, but I try to learn a little bit, right? I try to learn what are some things that these families, find appropriate, what is inappropriate for them, what is considered polite, what is considered impolite. So a variety of different things. It's very important for you to be able to educate yourself as much as possible to learn, what the families that you're going to be working with like and dislike. Communicate with parents openly about concerns with things that need to be improved. That's just across the board, right? So it doesn't really change for, with regards to the diverse side or the kind of, ethnicity, but at the end of the day, it's very important to have that open communication. This is a good challenge for people. I've seen some behavioral analysts do this, learning a new language and not being afraid to actually implement it. I think families love that. They love to see that there's that encouragement, that motivation to want to learn a new language and want to get really a bit more in tune with being able to communicate with them. So if the family sees that you're taking that extra work, putting that extra effort, it speaks volumes, and you're gonna definitely get a big buy-in. The humility, being humble. In the next coming segments on diversity, we will be reviewing very specific diversity. I would say. Words or things that are used in our literature, and one of the things is humility or humbleness. So don't take the approach that you know everything. It's okay to say I don't know, but I will find out for you. So be open to learning, so be humble. Look for opportunities to work with agencies or organizations that serve a multicultural population. Now that's really important because I don't want to be over the top in regards to describing situations, but there are organizations that tend to want to gravitate to certain populations or people that are more on the high end in regards to being able to serve people that are financially well, and people that are not financially well are not served too much, right? So that's where people that really want to learn more, behavior analysts, people that are in our field that want to learn, that get that diverse experience, try to work and seek opportunities with agencies, organizations that serve these particular populations that are multicultural, and also can be able to provide an opportunity to learn to that experience. Agencies should seek support and consultation from BCBAs that have multicultural background to provide talks and webinars. So if you have an agency and you have very limited diversity within your organization, I would highly suggest to try to reach out to BCBAs that have a multicultural or diverse background that allow for your professionals to be able to get some experience, some input, some education, some information of how to be able to navigate through situations with families they may be serving. Okay, so that's something I highly suggest. Some future diversity and inclusion videos that I want to talk about, and which I already kind of started last year in 2023, we did present some information, but I want to talk a little bit more about articles and chapters on diversity and inclusion. I want to talk about some of my personal experience I've had while working in this field. I want to talk about methods and procedures that I have used when working with families, provide suggestions and ideas that colleagues working in this field could use. I did present some demographic data with BCBAs, BCABAs, and RBTs. There might be some updates coming very soon through the ACB, so I'll definitely put up a video as soon as those updates are there, and also provide updates on new talks or CUs that can help clinicians in this important area of diversity and inclusion. Okay, so I'm definitely very motivated to do these different things in 2024. Other considerations. Now, I was thinking about this because I think this is something that's very important to consider. So I was thinking that just because you come from from a specific race or ethnicity, does that signify that the person's fully aware and tuned with these cultural practices such as language or beliefs? So for example, and it does happen, I've seen people that have the Hispanic or Latino background, but they do not speak Spanish, right? And does that mean that makes them less Latino? No, I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that this particular situation, would they be able to truly have that communication with families that speak Spanish? So that's something to consider, right? Something that if just because you're a specific race, does that mean that you are 100% representative of that particular race? And then the next one is, I've seen people from other races or ethnicities that actually have more awareness, and actually says here in Bruin, it says in tune with cultural practices due to their experience and education. I've seen people that literally went, and they lived in other countries, and they have that experience. They have that even the language, right? I've seen people that are very fluent, even though they're not from that particular race or ethnicity. They have this phenomenal way of communicating. So something to consider, right? So I've seen a lot of groups being formed right now at these different organizations, right? For state, specifically, that are trying to be representatives for diversity. But we have to really think about that, right? Do they really represent diversity if they lack some of these different things, right? So what really is diversity? How can we measure diversity, right? And that's something to consider, because at the end of the day, does really belonging or being born from a specific race or ethnicity, does that really signify diversity if you're not really demonstrating through behavior or practice? So something to consider. Like I said, that's something I've been thinking about. Okay, something to really assess. You guys can write me a comment there. Once again, I'm really curious about that. How can you measure assess diversity? How do you really know if somebody is in tune with the culture or diversity that they're saying they represent when they're being placed in situations of leadership for specific groups, right? So I don't know. Sometimes I think that's where my insecurity is when I see these groups that are being formed. Do these people really understand the cultures, right? Do they really understand the diverse side? Because yes, they come, they were born to a particular diverse race, ethnicity, but do they really understand it? Okay, and that's the thing that, the measuring and assessing aspect of it. How do we do that? Okay, so don't forget to subscribe. I really appreciate all of those that were able to follow through and listen to this video. Make sure to give me, some feedback there. I want to hear you guys out. I had very minimal interaction last year, comments. I want to see more comments. I want to see you guys get more involved with this. This is something I'm very motivated, very, I guess, I don't know, I have a passion for, for this topic of diversity. Like I said before, I love behavior analysis. It's a passion of mine. And I also love my culture, right? Because I grew up in this culture. My Latino culture, it means a lot to me. And I also want to learn more about other cultures, right? Because this is a world that's becoming multicultural. Day by day, it's growing and growing and growing. So we need to be very, very understanding that we need to educate ourselves as behavior analysts to be a lot more successful in this field. Okay, so I hope you liked this video. You all take care now. See you soon.